The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's forming a phonic.
Good evening, and this is Lowe's Moore, and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. Man, I want to say that you guys know what I say every week. I'm excited. Yes, I'm excited to be back here with you guys again. I hope you had an amazing week. It looked like we're in some little transition here where I think summer's fighting for its last breath, and now we're into the fall, and fall is pulling and struggling, trying to keep fall there and not go too early into winter, man. And so we in the morning time is really cool, and then as the day goes on, we've been coming out with some pretty nice days. Day was a lot cloudier than most, but again, I say all the time, man, if we turn over and wake up in the morning, man, we thank God and get rolling. Yeah. So let me drop this. This is my seed, or this is my pebble. I drop my pebble in the pond each week. Yes, my little miniature basketball. I drop it in my pebble in the pond, expecting more ripples, more ripple effects from the Blueprint Podcast. Interviews have been amazing. I hope you enjoyed last week. We had Herman Bulls on. Just an amazing interview last week. Getting to know Herman, getting to know his family, and just the amazing person that he is. I hope that if you didn't get a chance to check out Herman Bulls last week, you should. It's still on. Number one, is still on the Blueprint on Facebook, and it's also still on the Blueprint on YouTube. Check it out. I mean, really, what an amazing interview! And at the end, man, he gave some powerful keys, principles, nuggets last week about business. Man, if you didn't catch it, man, go in there and catch last week's with Mr. Herman Bulls. And again, let me say this moving forward. Let me give a couple of, hey, this month we're in October. It seems like it's going so fast. It seemed like it was just September. Now we're in October, and we're coming up to the close of October, and we quickly transitioning. My family's getting on me all week long, because in the evening time, I've been watching the Hallmark. Around Christmas time, man, the Hallmark comes on, and you get caught up like Lifetime. You just get caught up in them going back and forth, right after the other. But they created a countdown to Christmas already, and so I've been watching those. And when you start watching and start talking about Christmas, man, it jumps over certain situations. Like Halloween, it just jumps over it. You notice in the stores, man, before you know it, they probably already got Thanksgiving stuff in there. Already. And hey, they may have skipped Thanksgiving, and we may be in with Christmas stuff already in there. But and that make the time go faster. But we're at the end of October, and this in the month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I had a friend of mine. Sometimes we don't think that men can get breast cancer. I had a good friend of mine, man, who was on my men's call on Wednesday. My good friend Nate. And let me tell you this real quick. Nate had been on our call for like 3 or 4 years. And, and one day, Nate just happened to bring up, because he was always happy, and he just told us he was a pastor for over 20 some years, and 3 years in, he was just such energetic, always one of the first persons on my call, and he finally said to us, well, I haven't walked in 4 years. I've been in a wheelchair. But he didn't act like what he was experiencing during the call. And we found out that 4 years prior to getting on, that he had been diagnosed with you know breast cancer, and that he had been fighting, and he hadn't walked in 4 years. But you couldn't tell by Nate's amazing spirit. Um, and he was, sometimes he would just miss several Wednesdays, and then we would find out that Nate was in the hospital, and, going through some stuff and struggling. But every time he came back to the call, he was always giving a testimony on how he was being a blessing to other people while he was in the hospital. Right. And I'll say this final thing about Nate that always impressed me, was that he never showed like he was mad at God. Um, he was always encouraging people to get closer to God, and in the process, he was actually getting closer to God as well. And during the last his last days, and we didn't know it was going to be his last days, but we were having a conversation, and we was talking about miracles, signs, and wonders. And Nate said he was going through some tests and some different things in the hospital. And he asked his doctor, he said, "Doctor, on our call the other day, we were talking about miracles, right?" And he said, "Doctor, have you ever seen a miracle before?" And she says, "I have seen a miracle before." Right. And he said, "When? And who?" And she said, "You." Right. Because what you had 4 years ago, right, should have taken you out in a couple of months. But here we are 4 years later, right? And you're still here, smiling and happy. You're the miracle that I seen. Right. And so, for all those, we continually pray for all those family members that have lost loved ones to cancer. And we cheer on and we salute all those, right, who have are cancer free, who still battling, those who have overcome cancer. We salute you uh, today. We continue to pray for you, right? And we continue to hold your head up and trust God. For uh, you know, I have my band on right here, right? That I received a few weeks ago, and if you're out there, keep everyone that's been tormented, put in fear by this terrible disease, right? Keep everyone in prayer, right? So God bless you all, and also, it just seems like we have so many things going on, we get piled up, and this is also in this month is also domestic violence month, right? And many of you know and heard my story, and for those who read my book, I kind of came up and had some of that in my family in terms of domestic violence. This is just one of the worst situations you can find yourself in. But look, we're gonna keep fighting, right? And we want to find a cure for cancer, and we want domestic violence to stop 100%. Just stop. We need to figure out a way to stop it, right? So, and keep everyone that's going through, that's been through, keep them in your prayers also. So let's move on. I want to start out right now, right, with my book of the week. All right. Now, my wife wrote this book, and a good friend of ours, Victoria, did the illustration. It's called The Perfect Butterfly, a mother's love story. And of course, my wife wrote this book about my youngest son, Isaiah, um, who was born with a disability, right? But he did not let that disability hold him back or hold him down, right? And it's not on the market yet, right? We got to figure it out, but we got to get it on the market. But it's a wonderful and amazing story of a young man who, I'm sure he questioned God. I mean, all the time, but right, he moved on, right? Actually, he loves God, right, and he has an amazing relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. So we salute Isaiah. We salute my wife. Story's amazing. And look, we'll. I'm gonna say this. We're gonna try to get this book out by the new year. We just got to figure it out. But we're gonna pray for us. We're gonna get that book out. And then this week's word of the week is innovation. Right? You have to be innovative. And I think when I've seen Isaiah, right, and we're going to be talking to an amazing guest tonight, right, who done some innovative things, right. So innovation is a word I learned in elementary school, right. Some words just stick with you. Unique was one of my favorite words. Innovation was one of my favorite words. And if you don't get a chance, look that word up, add that word to your vocabulary. Innovation. And then next, my Hill Harper, Pierce Harper affirmation, right? And I pull this from my guest tonight, right? The more difficult the victory, the greater the happiness in winning. And that's from the great Pele, right? Great soccer player back in the day. And matter of fact, I want to salute Mount Vernon for getting open Memorial Field after like seemed like a decade that we hadn't had Memorial Field. We got a chance to go to a new Memorial Field, watch our high school team play, football team play yesterday, and we had so many memories on that field. And the great Pele played soccer there during his career. We had a professional soccer team, right, that came and participated at our Memorial Field back in the day, man. Just awesome. And then here's our music and movie. D1, Threes Up. If you don't know about D1, gospel rapper, right? Amazing. I'm sure this is one of his first ones, right? He was a school teacher that felt like more young people were listening to rap than they were trying to understand the importance of education. So he had a gift to rap. So he went out to rap about not only about Christ, but he wanted to rap about education as well. If you haven't heard it, D1, make sure you get it. And then in theaters now, starting on yesterday, is the movie Till. I didn't see it yet. Read about it. It's one of the more tragic things that's happened in our history. Something that should have never happened, right? But I said this is a must see. You got to go see it. And when things like that happen, we need to make sure that they never happen again, right? So make sure you get out there and support this movie. And then I think I got a couple of shout outs here. I don't know if I have a shout out. I don't remember doing a shout out, but maybe I do. I know one of the things my shout outs was to the breast cancer awareness, but my wife is not giving me a sign that there is anything else. So let us get going. We haven't finalized the guests for next week, So I'll be hitting you up. I'll be doing a little inspirational thing, doing a little reflection this week, and I'll announce my guest hopefully tomorrow or the latest Tuesday morning. And as we set for the end of October into November, we're going to have some spectacular guests. So at this time, let me show you this video, and we're going to do about 3 or 4 of these. So let me show you this video, and we'll get rolling again.
I have a poster over my bed that I wake up to every morning, and it says, it's a quote from Dan Frisbee. It says, basketball is like photography. Without focus, all you have is the negatives.
So yeah, this is basically where I used to come. This is where I used to play the majority of my basketball when I was younger. Between playing pickup with friends, just coming to shoot around, clear my mind. It was just like a getaway for me for a long time. Especially when I was going through tough times, it just felt like this is where, you know, I would come and just clear my head. This is where my dad used to take me when we were younger to play and shoot around. So this is kind of where it all started for me.
Yeah.
Come on, son. Jovan, get down the right way. That's a good boy. Turn yourself around. Okay, turn yourself around. Good boy. Yay! Yay, Jovan!
My dad, he was a hardworking man. He was also a funny guy. He also was a jokester. He always just wanted to make people laugh. He lit up the room anytime he was with people. A lot of the jokes that my dad's old friends used to say is he looked like Spike Lee, so everyone called him Spike. So that kind of got to his head after a while too, because he just, different mannerisms and just how he kind of just was soft-spoken but funny at the same time. It was just, he reminded me a lot of Spike Lee and a lot of people of Spike Lee. So he just had that demeanor to him, that cool, smooth demeanor to him.
What do you say?
We had a very close relationship, and together they did everything together. They really did.
So I lost my leg when I was 10 months old for a reason that I was born with fibula hemimelia. What that is basically I was missing 2 toes, so I was born with 3 toes, and I was also missing parts of my fibula. So what happened is they did a Symes amputation, which means they removed my foot at my ankle bone, and then they take a skin graft from the bottom of my heel and they move that to the bottom of the amputation, which is called a stump. So what the Symes does is it allows the I can put weight on it and I can stand on it. The fact that I got it amputated at the ankle makes me lucky because I'm able to do different movements laterally, and it allows me to do all the physical and athletic activity that I do as an athlete. First ones, the technology was a little bit different back then, so what we had was there was a little buckle on the back of here, right here, the prosthetic, right there, and a little Velcro strap would come through, which would be attached to my liner, which I'll show you as well. So there would be a little Velcro strap attached to the bottom of this silicone liner. This is all silicone. And then the hook would have a strap. It would go through a little hole in the back right here, and I would pull it up and pull it tight, kind of like a Velcro shoe. Like a Velcro shoe. And basically what I have now is I don't have the Velcro system anymore. I have a suction system, which I have a silicone liner right here, as you can see, that holds my leg. It sucks in, and then I just put my leg in here like this. It's a little sweaty, don't mind it. So I pull it up like this, and then I put my little sock here on. This is usually before I take a shower or when I'm going to bed.
just usual things you would imagine would not be comfortable. When I pull this up, it's like suction, and it stays on my leg.
And people saw that he had an artificial limb. They just could not believe it because he was extremely active. He started out playing soccer, and there were some times on the soccer field, the leg would come off.
I'd be out on the field, I would go to kick a ball, I would just go real hard to go in and just blast the ball, and my leg would just go like 3 feet the other way. And it was kind of something funny that I thought was funny, because I just gotta, hop back up, hobble myself over, slide my leg in and get right back doing it. But for other people, just seeing their reactions almost was even funnier, because it's like, oh my God, like look what happened, like, no.
Found out that his mom wasn't doing the things that she should have been doing as a mom for a child that had a disability. And this upset us very much, especially his father got very upset that she would do mean things like, we thought they were mean things, like she would punish him by taking his leg away. And that way there he...
Oh, we must be back. Jovan, welcome to the Blueprint. I think you'll hopefully.
Thank you, Lowe's. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So, that was awesome, man. And yeah, when talk a little bit about when as you see that, I know you've seen it a million times, but yeah. And then who's that little cute guy, man?
I know what happened to him, right?
No. You went from cute to handsome. Okay.
I appreciate it. No. So yeah, it's actually funny. I've watched that video a decent amount of times, but a lot of those home videos were ripped from actual home videos that I have here, and I actually got the privilege to watch those with my grandma probably about a couple of weeks ago. And still, it kind of it brings back beautiful memories. It also reminds me of how far I've come. It reminds me also I feel like is a good segue to our first segment, is just how important family has always been for me. I think growing up, I was blessed to be able to have a loving and healthy home, a God-fearing home, which really kind of laid a beautiful foundation for me to be able to grow up in and have a relationship with God, as well as have family members that and a community that surrounded me with love and the nurturing and just, again, the healthy environment that I needed. I think easily we can get caught up in finding reasons to feel like we went without. But I think every time I'm able to watch those videos and every time I'm able to kind of just tap back into those memories, I realize how much of a happy child I was, how much I enjoyed the time that I got to spend with my dad, enjoyed the time that I got to spend with my grandma, the time I got to spend with my cousins, my family, and all the beautiful memories that I have from that. And, family is something I think that it doesn't always necessarily have to be blood. I say it all the time that it took a village to raise me. I grew up in a small town, graduated with about 100 kids, and I still have the best friends that I've had almost for about 20 years now. And not a lot of people can say that. And all of my best friends, I call my brothers. Their families I call my family. I have multiple mothers. I have multiple fathers. I have multiple grandparents, uncles, aunties, and people who just surrounded me with love and not only gave me love, but inspired me and also instilled um, morals and values in me that I still hold to this day. So uh, the biggest thing I recognize when I watch those over and over again is I just realize how important family is and how much of a pillar it is to be able to live a healthy lifestyle. I feel like for the most part, I've reached this point in my life where I'm very much present in everything that I do, or at least try to be present in everything that I do. And more in being present, I realize um, how many special moments you get to share with people on a regular basis. And unless you're actually able to be present and appreciate those times and not have your mind in other places, um, it really influences your true joy. It allows yourself to be the true self that you are. And for me, at this point in my life, especially where I've reached a point where I'm happy in the career that I've chosen, I'm happy with every single person that's in my life, and I'm happy with the things that I'm able to do to make an impact. I feel like a lot of that just comes from me being able to love the ones that I'm with, and be able um, to have a really, really strong foundation in family. And whether that, again, be blood, whether it be part of my village, my tribe. I just, I'm eternally grateful for all the people that have influenced me in my life, because it truly is, it's a reflection of everything that I'm able to do.
Yeah, and you smoothly right after the 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 video, you smoothly transitioned into something I think is very important, and a question that I usually ask on the show. Just three important questions, and you flowed right into it, which is importance of family, importance of faith, and then not finally, but education. I mean, talk. We were just talking about it before the show. Take us through. You already stated that education was important, and take us all through the process of and in terms of the process of education for you.
Sure. So I'm pretty sure last time we met, I was just probably finishing up my bachelor's at Stony Brook University. So shout out to Stony Brook University. That's my alma mater. That's where I had my bachelor's in business management. But since then, I kind of made a transition into sports science. I kind of realized how much sports heavily influenced my life, and how much being a part of a team, being a part of winning teams, losing teams, developing teams, all influenced not just my outlook on life, but helped me develop leadership skills, and understanding how to play a role, understanding um, how to also be happy in other people's success. Be happy when it's not just me with the glory. Be happy with allowing others to have the glory, and just being able to um, also understand how much playing sports as you in my youth really kind of translates into the real world. In the real world, you have a role. In the real world, that role is called your job title or your position, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the real world, you are working with teams, whether those teams be a group of people that you manage, or whether you be a part of that team that's being managed, or whether you may have your own role that doesn't have you managing anyone, but you're with your group of employees, and that's your team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And understanding what your role is in that, and exceeding in that role, understanding how to step into a leadership role, and sometimes understand that it may not be you that has to be has to be the main voice. Maybe you have to be someone that is actually a strong foundation for someone who is the voice, right? So when I realized that, I kind of I took a shift in where I wanted to go with my education, and I moved towards sports science, where I knew I wanted to work with youth. I knew I wanted to have my life revolve around sports. So I felt like the next best step was for me to be able to increase my knowledge about how I can help the most, and add tools to my toolbox, as they say. So I actually received my master's from Hofstra University last year in sports science. And now I work full time at a charter school. I'm a health and wellness facilitator. So I work with kids, kindergarten through middle school, teaching them sports, teaching them leadership qualities. We're going to begin our health unit here in a couple weeks, teaching them about physical health, nutrition and fitness, teaching them about mental health, how to deal with stress, anxiety, peer pressure, and then also teaching about socio-emotional health, learning how to build healthy relationships, learning how to manage relationships, learning how to find a sense of identity. So I've really found myself in this interesting space where I was able to create a position for myself at the school that I'm in. And I'm blessed to be able to work in an amazing place that is such a healthy and nurturing environment for these kids, much different than the public school sector in which I was. No discredit to public schools. I loved growing up in the high school I went to. Shout out to Mattituck High School. But I, being on the other side, being able to be in such a unique teaching experience and have the freedom to kind of be able to build my own curriculum, and to be able to work with such an amazing group of teachers, administrators, and then obviously an amazing group of kids, which I almost in a sense feel like are my own kids. I have like 100 of them. So
Yeah, nice. And it's great. And so all that's great. Let's digress for one moment, because I had a young man on, and you probably know him, Zion. I don't know if you know,
yes,
Zion the wrestler, not the
yes,
basketball player.
not,
And Zion is an amazing young man. He lost both limbs. As a young man, I had him on the podcast a few months back, and it was just a very powerful. Like, this is just a powerful interview. But his story was a little bit different in regards to growing up. Uh, you know, his mom left him. He was just going from place to place to place, and in most situations, he was treated bad, not only in the in the home, but also in the schools he tried to be successful. And had you had any experience with that? People look at you different. Did you feel
sure.
that?
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Growing up, especially being African American in a predominantly white community, also growing up being Jewish in a predominantly Christian community, growing up with one leg in a predominantly able-bodied community, like for the most part, I felt like I was the elephant in the room.
Mm.
Definitely dealt with bullying when I was younger. I definitely dealt with, I had things going on at home too. I lost my father when I was 14 years old due to a massive heart attack. I found him on Christmas Eve. I was home alone. And I think the biggest thing that I've recognized, at least in gaining wisdom, is that I don't necessarily see those things as things that they weren't like the most negative things for me. Yes, in the moment, was it hard for me? It definitely shaped me to be who I am. But at the same time, I've been working on this thing that's called acceptance. And I think when you accept all the things that have happened to you, all the things, whether it be good or bad, you start to realize that they're all there for a purpose. And growing up, my mom was not necessarily involved in my life. She was in and out of shelters, suffered with drug addiction, things like that. And what I've been able to kind of come to terms with is just accepting that everything that happened in my life was a part of my purpose, and understanding that, my mom, she loves me like endlessly. She wishes, I think, that she could have been in my life longer, and I wish the same thing. But I don't necessarily hold any resentment in that essence. Like I'm grateful that I can have a relationship with her now, in my 20s, going into my 30s. I have a great relationship with my mom, even though the kind of beginning of our relationship was like kind of tumultuous. And I think the biggest thing that I've been able to work through it is being able to have that sense of forgiveness for things that have happened to me. Like, I can go on forever about all the, name calling and things that I went through in high school and in elementary school and the traumatic events. But what I really have kind of come to terms with is that, um, like, I've lived such a beautiful life that all of those things that happened to me are not really at the forefront of my memories. Like, yeah, like they're part of it. They're part of the process. I think it's funny, the quote that you started with about victories, the Pele quote. That's kind of a really great way that I can kind of summarize it, is that we go through all of these tumultuous times and this adversity and all these things that we feel like we can never overcome, things that they feel like it's trauma, right? Like, that's, to summarize it into one thing, it's trauma. And I think
Mm-hmm.
what I've gotten to the point in my life where, not that there won't be more adversity, there won't be more things I have to overcome, but I've realized that, I've won. And I've won because I'm living a life that I feel fulfilled. I'm living a life that I feel like I have a great relationship with God. The people that I love, they love me, and I'm able to give that love to them unconditionally. And I think, my grandma and I, we have this special saying that we've always said, it is that it's her and I against the world, and that we're not going to be losers. We're going to be winners. And now it's kind of evolved. It's like, she looks at me every time, we say it, and every time it may be a milestone in my life or something that I've been able to accomplish that she's proud of. And she looks at me and she said, "We've won." And I think that, for anybody who's going through something, who's struggling, who feels that like the universe has done them wrong, I think the most freeing feeling that you can have is when you recognize that, like, the universe like owes you nothing, and that you owe no vengeance to the universe. Like, there's nothing that really you should hold resentment in your heart for, or against anybody, or even a circumstance or a situation. All those circumstances and those situations were meant to mold you and shape you and harden you to be able to go through the beauty of what life can be, which is fulfillment and understanding your purpose. So,
Yeah. And I thank you for saying that, because that was something that I was gonna ask you to
sorry if
kind.
I strayed off the beaten path there, but
No, it was perfect. No, there's no beaten path. we just kind of flow. But yeah, and I'm glad you went in that direction, because I was going to ask you to share with, because there's people who are older now who have experienced trauma, you know, re, you know, whether it be a disability, or whether it be a loss of a loved one, or somebody's being bullied. And I think a lot of things are in this month. I think even bullying is in, bullying is every day, or bullying prevention is every day. And people go through it every single day. I mean, Whether I mean, probably worse for those who have disabilities because you can see them, and then people go through it because of the color of their skin, because they're short, because they're tall, because they're heavy. I mean, and but nobody should be going through it, because God made us all and we all special, So I thank you
Unique.
for, yeah, unique, special, gifted,
Yes.
right, talented, and so
Extraordinary.
extraordinary. Yeah. I mean, and we're innovative and we're evolving.
That's right. That's right.
Like you becoming the founder. When we talk about innovation, I was kind of talking about you because you came up, talk for a moment about the use of that, of innovation in
Sure.
something that you guys founded.
Sure. So, um, I actually, I'm one of the founding members. I'm not the actual sole founder. We like to think of ourselves as a core group of five. Um, Myself, Nick Pryor, who is he works with Ability 360. He played a huge role in being able to give us a strong foundation and relationship with one of the only fully accessible sports facilities in the country, Ability 360. Shout out to them and all the things that they're doing in order to just progress the adaptive community. We need more facilities like them all around the country, not just because of the things that they're able to facilitate, but also just for it to be an outlet for our youth, for our disabled community, and just to continue to progress. I mean, when I started with AMP1 basketball, I was 17 years old. They came to my high school and they did kind of an assembly that was sharing their stories and sharing some of the adversity that they'd gone through and how they used it in order to make a positive impact on the world. And for the first time, I was able to see people like me. I was able to see someone or a group of people that were not just playing sports at a high level, but they were great human beings. And they had a vision that was larger than was the bigger picture, which is how can we leave this world in a better place than what we came into. And at 17, they took me under their wing and allowed me to share my story, a young, shy 17-year-old kid who had never really traveled outside of my hometown, nonetheless traveled outside of the state by myself. And they allowed me to tour the country, and they facilitated experiences for me that not only that I'll remember for a lifetime, but they facilitated the humbling experience for me that showed me that not only was I not the only one, that there is hundreds and thousands and millions of people out there that are going through difficult circumstances, some of them worse than mine. And we have this special gift, every single one of us, which is to have a positive attitude and to be kind and to understand other situations and show empathy. And I think being able to have this humbling experience at such a young age and kind of be pushed out on stage and be able to share my story and not only feel people's reaction to it, but understand that my story could help somebody, whether it was just one person, whether it was 20 people, whether that one person goes on to change 1,000 people's lives. Like, I realized how much of an impact that just sharing, being vulnerable and being open and about the experiences that I had could potentially impact someone else's life. And, shout out to the guys that actually were a part of it then, that maybe aren't a part of it now, but they really opened my eyes to what my purpose truly could be, and unlocked a gift for me. And now, fast forward kind of 10 years down the line, I think, yeah, about 12 years, I guess you could say.
Right.
Now AMP One has become something so much larger. It's become an outlet and a resource for young kids to be able to not just meet others like them, but to also meet some of their heroes. Like, we're able to work with the Golden State Warriors and put on an annual camp that allows kids to come out and have amputee coaches, work with them to be able to teach them stand-up basketball, as well as coaches from the Golden State Warriors Academy to come out, and also be able to bring some of the players and introduce them to kind of some of their heroes in both sectors of the world, whether it be able-bodied or the disabled community. And to be able to kind of see the impact that makes, not just for the kids that we work with, but for the kids' parents, to see them actually have their kids have a sense of being normal and understanding that there's people out there like them to be positive role models for them. It's very much a gift for me, versus like it being work or anything like that. It's just a gift to be able to go out and to be able to see the looks on these kids' faces when they're able to see other people like them, and to get the questions of how you do this and how do you adapt to do this and how are you able to do this, and to be able to work with them and show them it's truly a privilege. We also work with organizations such as Nubbability, which is an all sports camp that works with adaptive athletes all over the country. They put on an all sports camp every year that I've been blessed to be a part of. Looking forward to being a part of again, and just to be able to be active in this community, in this village of people that are going to grow up just like I did, or grew up like I did, and now have a bigger vision to be able to help those and lay a path and a foundation for those who are going to come and walk those same footsteps. It's really an amazing opportunity. AMP One basketball is just a platform. I think for what we truly we want to accomplish, which is to be able to just continue to grow the community of adaptive and disabled sports, and to allow it to have the viewership, to allow it to have the opportunities, allow it to have the resources that it needs and able to be sustainable. So, at this moment, AMP One basketball is working with different NBA organizations, trying to build more all abilities camps all over the country, to not just spread the word about stand-up amputee basketball, but to also allow kids to have the option or choice to be able to say, hey, there's wheelchair basketball opportunities for me. There's stand-up basketball opportunities for me, and allow them to have a choice in that path. So that's kind of the work that we're working to do now. The pandemic kind of slowed things down for us, but now that's kind of hopefully in the past, for everyone, God willing, we're looking forward to continue to be able to strengthen this platform and do more. Shout out to my guys that hopefully they get a chance to watch this, because I miss them, and I'm looking forward to getting back to work with them and making an impact on young people's lives. So.
Right. And you mentioned the second organization is AMP One, and then of course 360. I think we
Yes,
got
Ability 360.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
and you had mentioned, was there another organization that?
Yes, that's Nubbability. It's Nubbability, or sorry, Lity, Nubbability. Hopefully I spelled that right. I don't want to embarrass myself on live broadcast here about my spelling, but
and it's pretty interesting. And of course I want to talk about how we met, but I want to talk quickly about when I was playing basketball professionally, particularly in Albany. I played in the CBA with the Albany Patroons, and we did a thing over with at the time was the father Como, Mario Como
Hmm.
was the governor, and we did something with him with wheelchair basketball players. And we in the lobby of the governor's mansion or whatever, they set up two hoops. They set some hoops up there, and they brought us in, and they put us in wheelchairs, and they said, okay, you're gonna play against these guys, and they were running around us, and we was one with the real disabilities at that time.
That's
If you were
right.
looking out there, they say, oh, those guys got disabilities. So
That's right.
and you realize how difficult it was, to maneuver the wheelchairs and different things like that. um and then I was invited to a basketball camp. I got invited to a number of places to speak, and I got invited to a basketball camp, and it happened to be not a camp. They played some basketball, but it was a disability camp, and I went in, and people didn't know how I was going to react to it. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a regular camp, and it was a disability camp, and there was a lot of kids in wheelchairs and motorized wheelchairs, but being me, I took out the one, I started spinning, and I started doing what I do, and,
Right.
so I had the kids, I had them shooting and all kinds of stuff like that, doing layups and stuff like, okay, get in the layup line, like that. I'm
Yeah.
saying, going crazy. I'm throwing around the back pass to them and stuff like that. They screaming, yeah, like that. So
Oh man.
for many people don't know, but in New York State they had the Paralympics,
Right.
or the Empire State
Empire State
Para
Games.
yeah
Yep.
games. Well, I
Yep.
was the official coach for the for up in Albany,
Wow.
and they had a big had a big parade, and I was out there, had my t-shirt on, and like a high five, everybody like that. And
Yep.
I didn't going through the experience, man. I appreciated, tried to appreciate the experience,
Yep.
because the at the time the recreation commissioner for the state of New York was blind, and I had a meeting with them, and God just started to show you that how gifted people are regardless of the disability.
Yep.
And I was wondering, well, how does he do his job? He can't see anything. It's just things that we think in our head because we're in this world of the able body,
That's right.
right? So we don't know. And then down the road, my wife and I had Isaiah, who has a disability,
Right.
right? And then through that relationship that we have with Isaiah and trying to manage his life and find things for him to do, and having three other kids running around, I used to always envision that Isaiah was going to be, I was going to be yelling at Losey and Isaiah, get off that table, get off that couch, quit jumping on that, and one day I was sitting there and they would run in and jump, Isaiah was climbing on the couch and jumping off, and Losey was. I was like, "Get off that table! Stop running!" You envision, what your kids are going to do. And Isaiah sometimes used to be when he was real little, and the other three kids outside in the yard. And I'm thinking, I felt bad, cause at that time he couldn't get out in the yard and do what they were doing. I mean, eventually, once he learned to maneuver his, his crutches and his
Right.
wheelchair, he started getting out there too. But
That's right.
then finding that there were a few opportunities for him in like getting into wheelchair basketball, and now that there are so much more, for young people to do. And then sometimes I found with parents, they weren't willing because their children, it was more responsibility, more cause that they weren't able or weren't willing to make the sacrifice to make their children available to do these things. And I really felt bad for that, And so what you were saying about 360 amp, that there should be more facilities,
It's true.
awareness, organizations, opportunities for, Isaiah was probably one of the only kids in my Boys and Girls Club when I was the executive director. And he went through there and had a wonderful experience, and they treated him just like, that's why, you knew he coached able body
Yep.
basketball, right? So they
Yep.
just gave him an opportunity. And there's so many other young people out there who could do the same. So yeah, man. So I want to say, thank you for that. That information. And I want to digress to the point where we first met, you know. You recall?
I do. I do. I
All
do.
right.
It was I believe it was it via FaceTime, right? Where we were in
Yeah.
our group. Yeah.
Yeah, we were on FCA, which I had
Yeah.
Frank on a
On
couple of
Zoom.
weeks ago. Frank Ronaldo was on a couple of weeks ago on the
My
podcast.
guy.
Yeah,
Shout out to
yeah.
Frank.
Frank was doing a Bible study, and he was doing it on Zoom, right? And
Yep.
he introduced me to Jovan, and we got to have these wonderful conversations. We was having a Bible study together every week with a lot of coaches from all over New York City and also in Long Island. And and so we've been staying in contact. And I was like, I had you on my list. I said, yeah, I gotta call Jovan. I gotta get him on the show and see what's going on, see how he's doing. It's been a minute,
It has. It's been a
Yeah,
minute, man. It's been a
yeah.
minute.
It's been my
Um,
pleasure, man, to have met you, man. It's awesome, man.
The
So
pleasure, listen, the pleasure is mine, Lowe's. This is an amazing platform that you have, that you've created, that I'm blessed to be here. I'm thankful that our paths crossed in that Bible study. I remember how much of it, I don't know if I probably didn't actually get to share this with you, but I'm going to do it now because we're about being present, right?
yeah,
Giving people flowers. And um, the time that I spent in that group, um, monumentally changed my life. At in that space that I was in, I was really looking at the time. How I met Frank was, I was looking for people that I could um, share my faith with, that people that were my age, and that's what I thought I wanted. I was like, oh, like I want some younger people to be able to share my faith with, because I feel like I'll go to church with my grandma, and you know God bless them all, but it's like it's a bunch of old heads, and I want to be able to share share my testimony with some younger people, and that's how I got involved with the Hofstra FCA. That's how I met Frank. That's how I met um, all the great people that were a part of that Bible study, and ironically enough, it led me to that Bible study, and the things that we were able to share, the word that we were able to share, it being a pillar of my week, being able to tap in with some great minds, some successful minds that also were on their own journey in faith, and we're able to share so many golden nuggets, so many just ways that I could continue to guide my life in my faith. It really changed my life, and it pushed me on a path that it actually, I actually vividly remember that after us having all those meetings, like that also shaped me to go to Israel and do the work that I did in Israel, because a lot of the conversations that we were having about purpose and about allowing God to lead your life and allow to lead your choices, a lot of it just kind of spoke to me. And I just wanted to share that with you, because
oh
I don't
man,
think I ever got to share that with you, but really that those conversations and just being a part of that really, really shaped my life and shaped a lot of the things that I've been able to do, and the path and the journey that I've been on. And it allowed me to be closer in spirit with God. So I had to thank you. I can't
yeah.
thank you enough, but I had to take the time to thank you right now.
Well, we appreciate it. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. And
And
being able to meet Isaiah too, and have conversations with him, and iron sharpening iron, and being able to understand you know, kind of his story and witness all the things that he was able to overcome. And he actually was a big inspiration to me being able to go out and coach. You know, at the time I was coaching, but I didn't have my own team. And he was doing AAU, doing travel, coaching like 3 different teams. And I'm like, dude, what am I doing? This dude's running circles around me. So he really inspired me too. And you know, just your whole family and what you guys represent, and you obviously, you know, being at the forefront of it, and your wife as well, Patrice. I know you're back there pulling the strings, but I really just want to thank you, and I can't thank you enough for being a strong influence on my life.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure, man. It was wonderful meeting you, man. Just we're gonna show one more. We're gonna show one more video. We're gonna show the video here, and then we got a little bit more to go. But we want to get into the whole soccer thing. We gotta get
all right.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years old. He felt it was better. At least his father felt it was better if he would get custody of him. So in actuality, he's been living since he was like about 2 years old. At that time, I was 16 months, so it was a little bit easier.
In the beginning, you know, I feel like she was trying. She really wanted to have a relationship with me and wanted to be there as my mother. But I feel like as time went on and things piled up on her, she kind of gave up on me.
What is it? What you got there, Jovan?
My dad was an athlete when he was younger, but when he started to get older, he started to develop some bad habits. He started eating fatty foods. He wouldn't exercise a lot. Just getting busy with work and stuff, he wouldn't really have the time to really do what was necessary to stay healthy.
You say, thanks, Dad, for telling Finley to give me a new bike.
On December 24th, 2005, I woke up. It was the Christmas Eve morning. I'll never forget. I was supposed to go outside and play basketball. It was a warm winter. It wasn't snowing or anything. It was sunny outside. But his alarm was going off. Usually when he wakes up, he starts to turn his alarm off, wakes me up, everything, such and such. But it was weird. I went into his room and I noticed that he wasn't moving. So I went over, I tried to wake him up, I shook him a few times, nothing happened. And at that point I had realized that he was dead.
He's a doll, I tell you.
It was just an inspiring moment.
I would say though, like if you asked in basketball if we have an advantage or not, I think it's more of a mental advantage of we know what the person in front of us is thinking, and for 99% of the time, it's they're laying off first.
Yeah.
So,
and then once you start giving them buckets, then they're like, oh, I gotta guard him. Okay.
So it's more of a mental advantage.
This is fun, enjoyable. They're beating us. I don't like this. It's fun to play against these guys. You're good. You weren't kidding with this other day.
It's more than just going out there and playing basketball. It's more than us just going to speak to kids. It's really just about the different relationships I have with each and every one of those players on the team.
Like really inspiring, and like I thought the overall message, just like what they do, was amazing, and it kind of, in a way, like just pushed me. Like I'm going like college, I'm a senior, and I can just make it through anything. Like if they can play basketball and do what they love, and like despite what they've been, what they've been dealt with, like their cards that they've been dealt with, I don't know. I think I can do anything that I want to do.
feeling of brotherhood. It's a feeling of family. We have so much in common with each other that nobody else really can relate to, whether it be with our amputations, whether it be with our legs, our prosthetics, different things we go through, just with people, relationships. We help each other out through a lot of different things. And it's a relationship that we necessarily might not be able to have with really anybody else, or to the level where we can understand each other as much and what we go through on a daily basis. And that just is really special to me.
First thing is PMA, which is positive mental attitude. You can't control what happens to you physically, some of the things in your life, but what you can control is your attitude, and that's the most important thing. So no one else can take that away from you. No one else can tell you, they can make you mad, but you can keep yourself mad. So just try to keep a positive mental attitude. Also, I want you guys, if you get a chance when you go home tonight, just look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love being you. Give yourself that confidence. Let yourself know, I love being myself. And that's really what's most important. Because if you love being yourself, that translates to others, and others will love you as well. So, which was my last quote, which is, if you believe, they'll believe too. If you believe in yourself, other people will believe too. And that's kind of our message when we're trying to get out, to let anyone know, just because we're amputees, it's other things that we're trying to promote. But we just want you all to know to never give up, and you can do anything you put your mind to. With the Thank of Freedom Innovations, we're allowed to travel across the country to speak, spread our message, and to play basketball with a great group of guys. So I'm honored to be here, and we thank you guys. And if we're gonna have more to speak.
Wow. Yeah. Now we seen the basketball side, but now now you just came back. So talk to us a little bit about, because now soccer comes into play. So he just said you could do anything, right? So now talk to us a little bit about what you just finished doing and how you got into that whole process.
Sure. So I actually, what most people may not know is that I started, my sports journey started with soccer, or football, really, as every other country calls it, except us. I don't know how that happened, but I began playing soccer when I was 5 years old, and it was actually the first sport that I began playing with my dad. He was actually one of my biggest role models in my sports career. He was someone who, when I was born, at early point in my life, he realized that I was going to be special, and that I had gifts that, even though I had an amputation, that he really believed that I was going to be able to show the world that I could be normal and do anything that anybody else could do. And that was something that he told me from an early age, and he poured into me from an early age. And he began working with me, and I started playing youth soccer where he was my coach, where that's kind of where the journey began. And then I moved forward into playing club soccer, travel soccer, where I was playing for 2 different travel teams, playing for my junior high team. And then that kind of all came to a halt when he passed away when I was 12. And he was kind of just like one of the biggest reasons why I was playing the sport, even though I loved it in my heart. It was hard for me to kind of find that competitive edge without him being there. So that's when I kind of transitioned into basketball at that time. But in 2016, I had the opportunity. One of my lifelong father figures who stepped into that role after my dad passed away was the person who made my prostheses. His name is Mark Warner. And he actually introduced me to the sport of amputee soccer, which was one of his childhood friends was actually the head coach. And through a little bit of, I guess, coaxing, he got me to come out and try the sport, because at the time I was playing a lot of basketball. I was involved with Amp One. I was doing pretty much anything I could imagine with my prosthesis on. And this sport involved us taking our prosthesis off. So in 2016, they invited me out. Actually, me, myself, and the person that finished that last clip, Robert Rodriguez. Shout out to him. He's been a huge role model in my life as well. They brought us both out to Houston, Texas, where we tried out for the team, and we made it. So our journey began with amputee soccer. Then it was us two, and then a group of probably about 5 others who those others are still on the team now. And in 2018, we got our first international experience where we were able to go to the 2018 Amputee Soccer World Cup. And that's some of the photos that they're showing here from that World Cup. That was in San Juan de los Lagos. And it was, everything came full circle in the way that I was able to go and play a sport that I loved growing up in one of the biggest stages with representing the country that I was born in and being able to do it at the highest level. It was my first experience in 2018, first international experience. It was a huge growing moment for me because at the time I was still transitioning out of basketball back into soccer, was transitioning and kind of involved in like a steep learning curve and trying to figure out how I was going to move on these crutches now and not have my prosthesis kind of as my base, and not learning how to play a 2-legged sport with one leg. It's just as difficult as it sounds. So with that, being able to have that experience and do it also with this group of guys that I had just kind of met, was still kind of figuring out my role on the team, figuring out what my abilities were. It was a real eye-opening experience to not only be able to now learn what I had to do in order to kind of be elite and to step into that role that my team needed, but also being able to witness all of the other people all over around the world that were dealing with disabilities and had the same opportunity as I did. There was 24 countries that came to that World Cup in 2018 that were invited. And to be able to be on that stage and to see the elite level of play that was going on all over the world, to meet, to develop this certain respect also for my opponents and understanding that they're people just like me that are trying to chase a dream just like I am. And to see that culminate into relationships that I would have throughout the rest of my playing career and throughout the experiences that I was going to have moving forward. Looking back on it now, it was just like, that was just the beginning, right? And then now fast forwarding to this past experience that I had with the 2022 Amputee World Cup. For the first time this past March, the sport evolved to the point where it's just like FIFA, where there were qualifying tournaments for each region of the world. So our region being North America and Central America, we were in a group with Haiti, Mexico, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. So we were in a round robin group stage in the beginning where we played each team once. Whichever team ended up with the most amount of points. So you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, 0 points for a loss. Whichever top 3 teams had the most points, we're going to qualify to go to Turkey in this past October. We actually we tied the first game against Costa Rica. We then won the game against El Salvador 1-0, in which I scored a header from outside the box. And then we went on to play Mexico, which was a kind of a do or die match for us in a hostile environment, about 5,000 fans, all Mexican fans. That day they were not fans of us, I can promise you that. And we actually ended up losing that game to Mexico 2-1. which put us in a position to actually do or die in a final match against Haiti, which was one of, like I previously mentioned before the show, is one of the top 5 teams in the world. And we went out, we won that game 2-1, which punched our ticket to Turkey, placed us second in that tournament. And our journey was going to continue. So this past October, we landed in Istanbul on September 28th, and our first match was on October 1st. We played England, who it was a rubber match for us. Not only is there just kind of a already built-in animosity, England and USA, but they actually had beat up on us when I first started playing. My first international match was against England. They beat us up 11-0, I think, maybe 7-0 the next one, all the way to the point where like our players got injured and hurt, and we had to take some Haitian players and use them against England. They still beat up on us. So now full circle, we came to this game with already some, it was revenge. I'll keep it a stack. It was revenge. And we came out and we beat them 1-0, which was a huge monumental win for us as a program to see us come full circle. A lot of those same guys were on this team this year, and we had it out for them, and we accomplished that goal. First out, we set the tone for us to get out of the group stages, and then we played Argentina in a tough match the day after. We lost to them 3-1. Left a little bit of meat on the bone, could have played a better game, but we had to kind of just, reset and get ready for another opponent the next day, which was going to be Indonesia. And then we came out, we had set a goal that we wanted to score as many goals as possible as we could, so that not only we could stamp our ticket into the elimination stage, which we've never done before as a program, but also so that we could get some valuable experience for our younger players that have traveled with us. And the goal was to get them in the game, to get them some touches, to get them some confidence built up. So we have a sustainable program in the future. And we did that. We beat them 5-0. It was a very inspirational moment, I think, for me. Me and myself and our captain, Nico Calabria, we've been kind of on this journey together ever since 2016. And I remember the first time we sat down and we spoke, he was giving goals for each one of the players that were involved with the team at that time. And when we sat down, he told me that his goal for me was that he wanted me to chase him. And he believed that I could be one of the best players in the world, one of the best strikers in the world. And I really took that to heart, and it was my motivation. So this past World Cup, when we played Indonesia, he actually, when he checked out of the game, when we were up big, he passed his captain's armband to me, which was a huge moment, not just for me selfishly, but to be able to earn the respect of my teammates, to earn the respect of my captain was something that it was definitely a goal that I feel like I set subconsciously, but just to kind of give some insight, like I think therapy is super important for everybody. And I see a sports psychiatrist myself, especially before this big tournament. I wanted to make sure my mind was right, my mental health is right, and that I had the right goals and right mindset going into it. And one of the goals that actually I set with him was that it wasn't that I wanted to score the most amount of goals, even though I do always, you want to, especially to do your job for your teammates. But my biggest goal was that I wanted to love my teammates. I wanted to love them, and I wanted to love them so much that I felt like I could run through a wall for them. And that was one of those moments where presently I was able to kind of check off one of my goals, where it was like, I know my teammates love me. I know I love them, and I know that I have their back and they have mine. And I think one of the biggest things for me in those moments of playing, and especially when we had a job to do, and we had a goal to kind of check off, was, I wrote 3 things down, which were stick to the fundamentals, stay neutral, and that the best is always ahead. So I'm a big person about setting goals for yourself, and not always ones that necessarily have to be like quantitative. Like they can be things that are like higher vibration goals that like maybe you can't put a number on or you can't put a stat on. And those were the goals I set, and in those present moments, I was able to feel like I accomplished those goals, which was huge. And then from there, that game against Indonesia, we punched our ticket to the elimination stage. While doing that, we had the founder of our game, which was is a guy named Dom Bennett, and he founded the game about, I don't want to put a number on him, so I won't, but a long time ago. And he was actually able to be there and watch us in our elimination game. The first time that we had ever done that as a program, as the United States Amputee Soccer Associates, the first time we were able to do that, he was there for it. He was able to watch us go fight against Haiti, which was a team we already beat. And we had the confidence that we were able to beat them again. We went into extra time with them. We scored at stoppage time at the last second. There was a long ball crossed into the box. It bounced right in front of me. I tapped it across the box the other way. Keeper made a save, and then a deflection somehow ended up in the goal, but we tied it. And then we took them to overtime where we lost. But the biggest thing that we took from that game was that we were this close to beating the top 4 team in the world, this close. And sometimes when you don't come up with the result that you want, it's easy to hang your head and be like, well, there's nothing to gain from this. But we had everything to gain because nobody counted us in that game. The same way nobody counted us in the game that we were going to beat them to qualify. And I think as a program, it really instilled the confidence in us that we can go out and we can beat any country in the world. And a lot of times when you get into tournaments like these, it's easy to like play down to your opponent. Well, we played up to every single one of our opponents that we faced. And that was something I think that we were able to hold our heads high from and take everything as a learning lesson. Each loss that we took after that was a learning lesson. We lost to Japan after that. We lost to them in extra time as well. That counted us out from our one of our main goals, which was to be top 10. We couldn't be top 10, but we still kept fighting. We were resilient. We played Poland. We were beat up. Some of our best defenders were injured. We still went out. We fought. We were this close again to beating them. Fortunately, the result didn't go our way, but we still had one more game. And go figure, full circle, that game was against Mexico. And it was to determine whether it was 15th or 16th place for us. And I think all of us as a group, even on like the bus ride there, we were all playing like 80s funk songs, and like we were really just jamming out together as a group, because we knew that there was no way we were coming on this bus ride home with a loss, and that this moment that we were in right now was so special for us to share with each other. You never know what's going to happen if these same people are going to be on the same journey that you're going on forward. But we were going to enjoy this moment right now, and we were also going to finish the tournament on a high note. And at that moment, actually, I hadn't scored a goal yet. And in the past, that would have been something that frustrated me, visibly would have been frustrated, probably would have been down on myself, on my confidence. But this whole tournament, if we go back to my goals, it was stick to the fundamentals, stay neutral, and that the best is ahead. And in extra time, in the 50th minute, we had an opportunity to score, and I scored. And we were able to send Mexico home 1-0. And, that was pretty much the end of the tournament there. Outside of competition, we were able to enjoy really valuable experiences and seeing the country. On our rest days, we went on a private boat. We were able to tour the Bosphorus River. We were able to see how beautiful of a country Turkey is, both on the Europe side, the Asian side. We were able to swim in the Bosphorus River. We all were jumping off the boat, swimming in uncharted waters. But
Oh
we were
man.
able to share that experience as a team, and we loved every second of it. Be able to share it with our coaches as well, who shout out to them and everyone in the organization. They work tirelessly, volunteering their time to be able to provide us with an experience and provide us the opportunity to be able to play the sport that we love at an extremely high level. We wouldn't be able to get to these tournaments and logistically be able to afford all the things that get us to these tournaments if it wasn't for them working tirelessly to find us the right funding, the right resources, get us the right viewership to be able to, allow people to see the journey that we're on and see how much passion we have for our sport, how much passion we have for it to grow, how much passion we have to provide a platform for younger people to be able to get involved with our sport and follow the same passion and dreams that we have. And we say it all the time that we have the best organization in the world, and we truly believe that. We have a great medical staff. We have people that are dedicated to getting our bodies into the best shape that we can in order to be able to perform at our highest abilities. We have the greatest coaching staff. They work tirelessly to game plan and to put us in the best situation to win every single game, no matter what the competition is, whether it's some of the best countries in the world or whether it's teams that we feel like we can beat or we should beat. Regardless, they put us in the position to win, and it's just up to us to execute and do our job. And then, I think the biggest shout out goes to all of the people behind the scenes, our families, our communities, the village that kind of keeps the machine going, because without their support, without people cheering us on, without people donating time, money, and just really just kind of seeing the bigger picture in what we're trying to do and what we're able to do. It really is what keeps everything going and allows us to be able to do it. So I'm extremely blessed. Obviously, first and foremost, God has worked wonders in my life. I wouldn't be able to do any of these things if He didn't provide and wasn't a merciful God and somebody who has just placed a real purpose on my life. And I think something that I think I kind of want to close with is that we're just here temporarily. And we're just a vessel in which God works through us. And He created this world. He's the landlord of this world. And we're just the renters, and we got to pay rent every day, every week, every month.
That's right.
Like, we have to pay rent. And I'm just grateful that He allows me the opportunity to do that. Allows me the opportunity to play a sport that I love. There's so many people I know that while watching, they have maybe not been able to accomplish that dream. And I think about that all the time, is that I'm so blessed and so lucky that I'm able to do that. There's so many that I know would love to be in my position. And when I'm out there, when I'm, before my games, I'm really just saying a prayer that I can just be a vessel, for Him and for whatever work He needs me to fulfill while I'm here on earth. That I just want to be a vessel and allow Him to work through me, and allow Him, honestly, to just, wherever my life is meant to go, I want Him to guide me there. And I think putting God first in my life was really what changed my life. It allowed me to open doors that I never probably would have had the key to open, but He had the keys. And I'm just grateful for that. So
awesome, man. Yo, amazing. This has been awesome. And I want to say that both my youngest daughter and her husband, they just got married in June. Both of them work assistant coaches at Stony Brook right now.
Oh wow! Look
Yeah,
at that.
yeah. So that's you, but I mean, when you were there, but they last year they had an amazing. My daughter and them had an amazing season last year at Stony Brook, the women's team. They went to the NIT last year.
Yes,
Of course, we expecting great things to happen again this year.
that's right.
And it's a privilege that my daughter was already working there, and then a job became available, and her husband joined her. Yeah, so there's it's gonna be awesome. So we're gonna be up in Stony Brook a whole bunch like we were last year.
All right.
And
We're
then
gonna have to link up for that.
yes, sir, we will. Yeah, we're gonna have
For
to check
sure.
out the schedule. And
For sure.
just real quickly before we close out here, what's next? I mean, all these amazing things. What's next?
What's next is I'm pretty much fully invested in my full-time job right now, which is wellness facilitator at the charter school that I'm working at, and also just what's next is I'm coaching. I coach youth soccer, U11 boys. They actually just won today. They locked up second place. And they're looking to go for first in the next couple weeks. They got some big games coming up. So that's really my focus right now, just being in the community. I find I take a lot of pride in being able to give back to my community. I think in order to, reach globally, you got to start locally, and really do what you can from your home base, and then allow, God to work through you and create other opportunities for you. So that's really where I'm focused with right now. And, looking forward to also whatever the future holds. I mean, I still got 2 more World Cups in me. So still focused on getting better, improving, helping evolve and grow the sport, helping to continue to progress the adaptive sports community, and, definitely looking also for more amputee soccer players out there. So if anybody sees this and is interested in getting involved, they can reach out to me or go to www.usampsoccer.org. They'll be able to reach out to somebody there. And, we're looking to build regional teams all over the country. We're working with the MLS, Major League Soccer, to be able to start an amputee soccer league here in the States. And yeah, we're just, still a lot of work to be done. It never stops.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. But I want to say thank you, man. I appreciate this, man. I've enjoyed it.
Me too.
Our emotions are going up and down, but I see you there with the young people right there, and
Yep.
yeah, you guys doing some amazing things, jobs, doing presentations. Yeah,
Yep.
just great, man.
Yep.
So again, hang with me for a moment. I'm gonna close out, man.
Sure.
And yeah.
There's one thing, actually. I think there's one more thing I want to leave with the young people, for anybody who's watching.
Okay.
And it's actually something that I recently was able to kind of explore. And when we talk about being inspired, I think the biggest thing that young people sometimes struggle with, especially me being a young person, I struggle with, is like, what is next, or how do I get to this point where I want to be in my life? And what I've been working with is taking inspired action. So inspired, like the root of it is in spirit, right? We in our spirit, we're going to take action. Some would call that a leap of faith. But really just ask yourself the question, what is it that I want? What life do I want to live? And dismiss the how. Don't necessarily always just focus on the how, because sometimes you can get lost in that. Just focus on taking that inspired action. Ask yourself, what's in your heart? Is it your job? Is it your relationships? Is it your hobbies? And start there. And everything becomes easier with practice. So the more you continue to ask yourself those questions and explore those answers, you're going to find what your true purpose is, and what is going to fulfill you in life. So I want to leave our people with that.
That's awesome. Jovan, thank you very much. And
thank you. Come on now.
A few
Thank
weeks
you.
ago, a few weeks ago, I had this book on called "Start with Your Why." Right? You said
Yep.
don't start with your how, don't start with your what, start with why. Why are you doing
right.
this? Yeah. So,
That's
Jovan,
right.
thank you. And I seen the young Jovan there, doing the doing the puff basketball dunks. Yeah. So
right.
again, I want to say thank you to everybody who comes on and supports the Blueprint each and every week, man. I love you guys, man. God bless you, man. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And I say it every week, man. If God bless you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. God bless you, and see you next week.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.